Deakin.
Thanks very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. I rise today to draw attention to the House, a most serious issue that I've discussed many times in this place and very important to my electorate of Deakin, and that is the current state of play with respect to the East-West Link project in Victoria. From a federal perspective, we've provided a commitment of $3 billion to build stages 1 and 2 of the East-West Link, and I've spoken many times about the demonstrable benefits of the project, and I won't go through them again today. But we know that with Victoria's population continuing to grow, there's no time to be spared in delivering the infrastructure that our city so desperately needs. It's true to say, and this is not contentious, the East-West Link remains the only shovel-ready infrastructure project in Victoria of its scale, with funding in place both at a federal and state and private sector level. It's true to say this is a fully funded and shovel-ready project. Unfortunately, though, before last year's Victorian state election, the then opposition leader made a very reckless commitment to tear up the East-West Link contract, claiming, to use his words, it was not worth the paper it was written on. Well, this claim has now blown up and proven to be a lie that I think many people knew it always was. Premier Dan Andrews is now facing the prospect of paying up to $1.2 billion of taxpayers' money not to build the road. $1.2 billion potentially not to build the East-West Link, depriving Victoria of nearly 7,000 jobs and the up to 3 hours a week that it will save some commuters, including commuters in my electorate of Deakin. But what is even more alarming is that rather than sort of swallowing his pride and getting on with honouring the contract, which is still in place, Premier Andrews is now seriously contemplating introducing legislation to declare the contracts null and void. And as you could imagine, the threat to declare invalid legally binding contracts is sending shockwaves throughout the Australian and international investment community. In fact, in a recent article entitled "Can Australia be Taken at its Word?", the investment journal Infrastructure Investor stated that Australia risks losing its status as, and I quote, the world's most attractive infrastructure destination, should the Labor Party continue down this reckless path. Further, Infra Asia, another infrastructure publication, recently reported that, and I quote, the upshot of Labor's decision to suspend the East-West Link is that investors can no longer be assured that a signed contract in Australia is worth the paper it is written on. And given the above, you'd think that the comments by the Shadow Treasurer Chris Bowen last year would resonate with the Leader of the Opposition and Premier Dan Andrews when he said, and I quote again, Bill Shorten and I are as one on this issue. Labor in government honours contracts entered into by previous governments, even if we don't like them for issues of sovereign risk. So that Bill Shorten would have a word to his Labor colleague in Daniel Andrews is too much to ask, because the opposition leader was flushed out on this issue last week, very reluctantly, notwithstanding his attempts to bluster and avoid the question. The journalist finally pinned him down to an answer, and the Leader of the Opposition, notwithstanding the fact that he has provided 2 submissions in support of the East-West Link, both in his capacity as a union leader and then as a member of this place, refuses to continue with his view that the East-West Link is the most vital project in Victoria. But that's not surprising, because the Leader of the Opposition is very well known for changing his mind. But I then say, putting politics aside, I think the Labor Party need to swallow their pride on this issue, do what is best for Victoria. This is a fully funded and shovel-ready project. Victoria is a growing city. Traffic congestion is not magically going to go away. Traffic congestion will not get better if we just hope that it does. We must make the infrastructure investments now. That's why I call on the Labor Party to build the East-West Link.
Member's time has expired.